So, another year, another season, another Premier League campaign has come to an end. It ended with a 1-0 loss to Brentford. And today I'm going to discuss that question mark in the top of the video. Have we lost momentum? Now, this is just my opinion, of course, and it's not a weighted question. It's a question that I'm going to discuss with you guys after, of course, we look at the most important thing, which is that Premier League title. We finished on 89 points with our third Premier League in a row. We have won the league, of course, which is absolutely wonderful. A quick shout out to Everton, who managed to survive. I'm happy for my mate Johnny, who's a big Everton fan. But also, unfortunately, Leicester and Leeds have gone down and joined Southampton in the Championship. Potential some pickings there. But overall, let's get on to this big question. This big question. Have Manchester City lost momentum? My honest opinion, and this is just my view, is I don't think they have done. The way I feel is that people are being a little bit naive if they think we can rock up and play strong teams and win games and crack on like we've not won the league after we've won the league. My version of what we're seeing right now is that it's inevitable. I think in general, you never see that. You never see teams just crack on and act normal after winning the league because it's just not possible. You've only got to cast your mind back to Manchester City's run of fixtures where we were playing. We were playing. Here we go. Liverpool. We were playing Burnley. We were playing Southampton and winning. And then we were playing Bayern. And then we were playing Leicester. Then Bayern again. Then an FA Cup semi-final. Then Arsenal. Then Fulham away. Then West Ham. Then Leeds. And then Real Madrid. And then Everton away. Then Real Madrid again. Then Chelsea. Then we won the league, of course. You got to look at that run of games to know that what Guardiola had to do was incredibly tiring to get us where we were going to be right now, which was Premier League champions and in an FA Cup final and a Champions League final. That takes its toll on players in many ways. The mental fatigue is off the scale. And I think we don't realise that often players play through injuries. We know it's true. We know they do. They play through pain. They play through injuries. And sometimes when you've achieved what you go to achieve, you do crash. That sore ankle that's been bothering you for a month suddenly feels a lot more painful. That tight calf that you sort of trying to shrug off suddenly feels a little bit tighter. You know, players that have been running on empty, that are that close to injuries, suddenly do not want to risk themselves. And Guardiola knows this. The conditioning team know this. It's not ideal, but I actually do believe that some of these players have actually been recovering from injuries that they've had for a while. Do you know how many times these players were kicked? Do you know how often people like Kevin De Bruyne are kicked? And do you know when you get kicked, and we rarely play football, but do you know when you get a bang on your ankle and it hurts for about 4 or 5 days? It does. These players then train when they've got a sore ankle, and then they get kicked again in a game 3 days later. Then they get kicked again in a game 3 days later. You absolutely never get to recover from that bruised ankle or that sore knee or your fucking back that's hurting a little bit when you tweaked it. But it's just enough to get through a game. You have painkillers, you crack on, but you're still a bit swollen. And every night, some of these players will be having injections and all that kind of stuff. These are the things that go on. And I guarantee you, as soon as Manchester City won the league, unfortunately, some of these players knew that they needed to get a little bit of a rest in because they were close to breaking down. And Guardiola knew this. And Guardiola's not stupid. He knows there is no way that these players are going to play these games like they are trying to win a league. Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford, these aren't the kind of games that you can stroll. Once again, this is just my take. Guardiola's smart enough to know that some players absolutely need a rest. Grealish had the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, I agree, Dan. De Bruyne does as well. He knows he can't get these players up for it. So in that instance, let them rest. We can sit here and ask the players to play these games and come out but Guardiola is damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. And I honestly believe there's not a single manager in world football who would not give the players a rest too, because we have 1 week that's going to define this season, you know. And I think it's naive to think that anyone else would have done differently. If he played all our strongest players, someone would have got injured. You know someone would have got injured. And then everyone would have gone, why are we doing this? Like, why are we playing them? It's like, why are we doing this? If people like Ruben Diaz are disappearing since the Madrid game, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why. Grealish got kicked to pieces as well in those games. Ruben Diaz is clearly The wife shouting Ruben downstairs. He's clearly nursing an injury of some kind. As I said, it could be a kid. That's the kind of injury that they could probably play if they really needed to. And we see that all the time. But if they've got a chance not to play, they're not going to play. And that's what I believe is happening. I think certain players, like, look at De Bruyne after that Madrid game. He was fucking spent, man. He was absolutely running on empty. Kevin De Bruyne was, that man was breathing God knows many things, but it wasn't oxygen. He was gone. That guy was... He was tired. For me, I think the players that aren't involved have been told to rest because it's what will suit their game. Like Grealish and people like that are immensely physical players. Like they are immensely focused. They will turn up and they will play well. And if in the end the players turn up at the United and they don't play well, sure. But right now, I trust that Guardiola and the conditioning team and these players, they are smart enough to understand their own bodies and to know when they need to rest. And to me, this is where we're at right now. I just don't give a flying fuck about this game, Brighton or Chelsea. That's how I feel. I know we can talk about the performances, but we will get onto it in a little bit. But there's just nothing. There's nothing. Anyone reading anything from these games, I think their head's in the wrong place, and I mean that with the greatest of respect. These games are absolutely meaningless. I cannot stress that enough. They are exhibition games. They are games that no one wants to happen, that we just get out of the way. They are necessary evils, but they are not important games. That's just how it is. And as a result, some of our key players are just there. They're just there on the bench to make up the numbers because we have to have players on the bench because we don't have a big squad. If they could all not be there on the bench, they all would not be there on the bench. But Guardiola's not going to play a whole team full of academy players because it's just not sensible. He's played the backup players because they are the backup options if the first team players aren't available. So they need the rhythm, you know? They barely play football in the way that De Bruyne and Haaland and Grealish does. So these games are training sessions, as Too Sweet said, for those players who don't play often, like Laporte, like Alvarez, like Foden recently, like Mahrez has been on the bench quite a bit, like Gomez. Like these people, these have been getting a bit of rotation, a bit of sharpness for that reason, just in case those big players are available. That's the only reason they're playing. He's getting those up to fitness because he knows the other ones have the fitness. So anyone sat there moaning about some of these players, I just don't see the point of it. I just don't get it. Like for me, I see people moaning about Palmer and Gomez. I feel like you all watch different games to me. I thought City it was a dead rubber before a cup final against a top 10 team away from home and a top 10 team trying to play for something. I'll go back to that Premier League table. Brentford were playing for 8 plays. Brentford could have finished 7th today. They were playing for the Europa Conference League, but either way, they were trying to finish the campaign at home. They wanted this more than we did. So it was a dead rubber, against a top 10 team. And it was disjointed a little bit because these players ultimately know it doesn't mean anything. Who gives a fuck? And if you do give a fuck, I think you're overthinking it. I really think you're overthinking it. To me, we are where we are because of Guardiola. We are because of Guardiola. Guardiola's had a fucking barnstorming season. We won the league by 5 points. We went on an incredible run to get us to this position. And right now, Guardiola's decided that some of these guys need a bit of a rest or some of these guys aren't fully fit. I think some of these guys aren't fit. I really do think it's simple as that. I think in general, some of these players needed a rest. And that doesn't mean they're injured as such. I think they're just getting the rest that they probably would have taken if they could have got a rest, but they carried on playing. Look, if you just joined the video, I'll say what I was saying a few minutes ago. Do you know when you play football and you get a kick on your ankle and it hurts for about 4 or 5 days afterwards? We can just walk it off. They play every 3 days. So what do? They have injections. They have fucking painkillers, you know? They have all this. Sam Lee apparently has just confirmed that players are actually injured. And this is what I'm saying. Here we go. I'll go over to Twitter right now. Let me jump over to Twitter right now, and I'll show you the tweet that I've just read. Hang on. It is entirely what I was just saying. These players aren't playing because they are fucking tired and run down. Ruben Diaz has not trained for Man City for 10 days, Pep Guardiola confirms. With Jack Grealish similar. All the Man City players left have niggles. These players are absolutely they are been nursing injuries and they've been playing, and I guarantee you, Akanji as well. They're getting over things. Am I concerned about it? No, I'm not. Do I think these players could play if you really needed to them? Yes, I do. I think they're recovering from sore ankles, probably. Like, as I was saying a minute ago, like, we get kicked on our ankle, we walk off for 4 or 5 days. These have injections and painkillers and fucking, I don't know, codeine or whatever. I don't know what they're allowed to take, but they'll be having strong painkillers to get over their sore ankles. And then they get kicked again because they're fucking creative players. And then he gets sore again, and it never goes. They probably have had a sore ankle for about 2 months now. You know what I mean? Where they're just playing with a bit of pain constantly. We can't understand that. And also mental tiredness. They've got a week now until the FA Cup final. So I guarantee these players will be back in training now. Fans are having flashbacks to 2021. I know we were. I think we played more games, didn't we? But the difference is, I think what the final affected us then mainly was I think we bottled it with mentality, and also I think we changed the system a little bit with Gundogan and no defensive midfielder, and Foden played a different position all of a sudden. We bottled it mentally and tactically. I don't think it was the fact that we didn't play games. So what we're going to see now is a whole bunch of players who are going to train like beasts. They're going to train really hard today. Marks just said Phil Foden didn't exactly cover himself in glory. I don't think he had a bad game. I think Phil Foden tried today, but he was surrounded by a team that wasn't fully functioning. And the thing is, every time we go to these, I get frustrated when we see a massively changed side and people get frustrated by lack of rhythm. Brentford are a good side. And we're playing with players who, are disjointed, who haven't played much. And also playing away with nothing to play for. I don't think we played that badly, Like Gomez, we know he's not good enough for Man City, but he wasn't that bad. Cole Palmer had some nice moments. He missed some chances, but he wasn't horrific. Cole Palmer was great against Chelsea and Brighton. Why are people pretending that he wasn't? Like, Phil kept trying things, but he had constantly players all on him constantly. I agree with Daniel. Brentford was surrounding him. Like, he just wasn't a very, it was a very disjointed performance. And there's nothing wrong with that, It is what it is. Like, Mahrez was quiet, but, here's the Guardiola quote. Ruben didn't train 10 days. Jack Grealish either. After Brighton, Kevin felt the same feelings before a few weeks ago. They couldn't play a few games. It's not a big issue. I think they'll be ready for Wembley. There you go. They're getting over things that have bugged them for a while. It isn't a surprise to me. It is what it is. It's part of football. Any manager would have done the same thing. So to answer the question of this video, have we lost momentum? Look, I would say we lost momentum if we didn't expect it. Did we expect to probably drop points against Brighton and Brentford, the teams that were playing with a little bit more than we were? Yes. Or does Kevin De Bruyne care that we lost to Brentford? No. Does Grealish? No. Does Diaz? No. Does Guardiola? No. They don't care. I guarantee you right now, they don't give a flying fuck. Mentally, they are focusing on their own fitness. And I guarantee you, every player is going to come into training this week with a shit ton of energy, a shit ton of fucking focus, and they are absolutely playing for that final. And I know Guardiola already knows his team. This is why I feel confident as well. Guardiola knows his team. I'll tell you the team right now. It's going to be a Kanji or Kyle Walker at right back. It's going to be a Kanji or Ake at left back. Then it's going to be Diaz and Stones. It's going to be Rodri. It's going to be Gundogan, De Bruyne, Bernardo, Grealish, Haaland. We all know the team. We all know the team. We all know why they're rested. We all know they're variable. And we all know that Guardiola is not going to try anything new. He's going to tell his players to go out there and fucking make history. And I think they will do it. So how do I feel about today? Shrug it off. Who cares? It is what it is. We are 2 games away from immortality. Guardiola knows what he's fucking doing because he's the greatest, in my opinion, to ever fucking do it. Trust the man who got us here in the first place. Trust these players. Fucking love you all. Another Premier League title won. We are the champions. This is our fucking league. We won 3 in a row. Let's fucking win a treble. See you tomorrow. Love you all. I'm going to go and bath my son. Mason with the super chat. If we needed to win the players, would have played. Exactly. If we needed to win the league, players would have played. Absolutely. You bang on. I'm going to go. End of the Premier League season. Last match reaction. I'll see you tomorrow. Fucking love you all, lows. Up the Blues.